Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
I'm Michael, a 39-year-old chef in Savannah, Georgia, where the summer of 2025 enveloped the city in a humid, languid embrace, the air thick with the heady perfume of magnolia blossoms, the briny tang of salt marsh, and the distant clatter of oyster shells, tossed into buckets along river streets' cobblestone walkways. For 12 years married, for dating my wife, Nora, and I crafted a life like a perfectly balanced dish, each ingredient selected with precision, its flavors melded to create something extraordinary, a recipe that seemed destined to endure. Our shotgun-style home in the historic district, with its weathered green shutters, creaking wraparound porch, and jasmine climbing the wrought iron fence, was a sanctuary of our intertwined passions. My recipe journals, their pages stained with sauce splatters and scribbled notes, lay stacked on the kitchen counter beside cutting boards etched with years of use. Nora's history books, their spines cracked from late-night reading, lined oak shelves that groaned under their weight, their titles whispering tales of Savannah's past. The sizzle of shrimp in a cast-iron skillet filled our mornings, blending with her soft humming of Just Standard's Billie Holiday or Nina Simone, her voice a warm undercurrent to the kitchen's rhythm. Mornings were sacred, a ritual as precise as a mise en place. It brewed chicory coffee, its bold, earthy aroma curling through our sunlit kitchen, the sunlight filtering through lace curtains to dance on the heart pine floors, while Nora chopped fresh herbs, thyme, basil, rosemary for our Sunday brunch, her laughter seasoning the air like a pinch of salt. Evenings, we'd stroll through Forsyth Park with our beagle, Rosie, her floppy ears bouncing as she darted through the grass, her tail wagging like a metronome, while we spun dreams of opening a bistro where my Lowcountry dishes would pair with her curated art, or restoring a weathered cottage on Tybee Island for summer escapes. Our life felt like a signature dish, its flavors rich and harmonious, a recipe I believed was perfected, its balance a testament to our love. But even the finest dishes can sour, their ingredients curdling under the heat of neglect, their flavors turning bitter when left unwatched. Love, if learned, can burn like an unwatched pot, its essence reduced to ash by secrets that simmer beneath the surface, unnoticed until the dish is ruined. Nora was a historian, her love for Savannah's layered past as vibrant as the stories she unearthed, her hazel eyes alight with a curiosity that seemed to see through time, tracing the city's ghosts through dusty archives, yellowed letters, and cobblestone streets worn smooth by centuries. Her dark curls, often swept back with a colorful scarf, framed a face that could shift from scholarly intensity to radiant warmth in a heartbeat, her smile a spark that lit up any room. From our cozy kitchen to crowded lecture halls, I'd watch her at historical society talks, captivating audiences with tales of Gullah Geechee traditions, Revolutionary War intrigues, or the hidden lives of Savannah's forgotten women, her voice weaving narratives as deftly as I blended spices for a gumbo. She'd gesture with her hands, her fingers stained with ink from late-night note-taking, her passion pulling listeners into the past, as if they could smell the marsh or hear the creak of old ships. My days were spent at the Salted Fig, my restaurant on Ball Street, where I crafted Lowcountry dishes, shrimp gumbo with a slow-simmered roux, crab cakes with a zesty remoulade, peach cobbler with a buttery crust balancing tradition with innovation. The kitchen's heat and clatter my rhythm, the clink of plates and chatter of diners my reward. Our home was a fusion of our worlds, my handwritten menus taped to the fridge, their edges curling from humidity, her maps of old Savannah, marked with pins and notes. Pinned to a corkboard above her desk, Rosie's muddy paw prints trailing across the heart pine floors, a testament to her joyful chaos as she chased shadows or begged for scraps. We'd sit on our porch at dusk, the air heavy with jasmine and the faint buzz of cicadas, sipping bourbon cocktails with a twist of orange, dreaming of a bistro that would marry my farm-to-table vision with her curated collection of local art, or a trip to New Orleans to explore its culinary roots and historical haunts, her love for Creole culture mirroring my own. I thought our flavors were in perfect harmony, our recipe complete, a dish that could weather any storm. But even the best dishes can hide flaws. A pinch too much salt, a moment too long on the heat, and I was too busy perfecting my plates to focus on the next course, to notice hers losing their zest, their balance shifting towards someone else's palate. Our love story began 13 years ago at a Savannah food festival, a vibrant affair where the riverfront buzzed with vendors, musicians, and the scent of fried oysters and sweet tea. I was manning a booth for the Salted Fig, serving oyster fritters with a tangy remoulade, the air thick with grease, sea salt, and the hum of a summer crowd. Nora, then a grad student researching antebellum trade routes at Savannah State, stopped to try one, her scarf catching the breeze as she teased me about sourcing the oysters locally. Her smile playful, but her hazel eyes sharp with curiosity. Her wit caught me off guard, disarming me like a perfectly timed garnish, and we talked until the festival lights dimmed, the crowd thinning as stars emerged over the Savannah River. She asked about my recipes, I asked about her research, and by the time the booths closed, we were sharing a bench, swapping stories of our childhood's mine in a small Georgia town, learning to cook at my grandmother's, stove hers in Charleston, sneaking into archives to read Forbidden's diaries. Our first date was a picnic in Bonaventure Cemetery, under moss-draped live oaks, their branches heavy with Spanish moss swaying in the humid breeze. We shared cornbread and shrimp salad, her laughter bright as she recounted the tale of a pirate's ghost, mine warm as I described my grandmother's gumbo recipe, its Rua family secret. We spent early weekends exploring Tybee Island's beaches, collecting shells or debating the merits of history versus cuisine, Rosie bounding through the surf, her floppy ears dripping with seawater. Those days were a whirlwind of discovery. Late-night talks at Clary's Cafe, sipping coffee as we argued about Savannah's haunted squares, drives to Bluffton, where we'd taste local shrimp and sketch the marsh. The night we adopted Rosie, a rescue beagle with soulful eyes and a knack for stealing biscuits, who tore through our backyard, her paws uprooting my fledgling herb garden as we laughed until tears streamed down our faces. We married in a courtyard off Jones Street, Nora in a lace dress that caught the golden light, promising to season our life with adventure, her eyes locked on mine as cicadas sang and a warm breeze carried the scent of magnolias. Those memories were my mise en place, the foundation of every dish I created, the ingredients I returned to when life felt heavy, their flavors grounding me. But even the best ingredients can spoil, and those moments now felt like a recipe gone stale, their taste fading under the weight of doubt, their warmth cooling in the shadow of secrets. By March, the first signs of trouble emerged, subtle as a dish missing a pinch of salt, its absence felt, but not yet named, a flavor you can't quite place. Nora began staying late at the university, citing a new project on Savannah's Gullah Geechee heritage, a book she hoped would redefine the narrative of coastal history, giving voice to stories long buried in the marshes. She'd return after dark, her curls damp from the humid night, her blouse carrying a faint scent of cedarwood, a sharp departure from her usual lavender perfume that lingered in our bathroom, its bottle a constant on her vanity. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, its case scratched from years of being tossed into her satchel, stayed tucked in her purse now, its screen lighting up with notifications she'd dismiss with a quick, practiced smile, her fingers moving too fast for me to catch the sender's name. Just a research colleague with a source question, she'd say, her voice light as a summer breeze, but her hazel eyes flicked to the window, avoiding mine, as if the cobblestone street outside held answers she couldn't share. I trusted her. Our marriage, a recipe I believed was foolproof, its flavors balanced through years of careful tending, its ingredients measured with love. I saw trust as the base of our dish, like a roux that binds every element, giving depth to every bite. But trust, if learned, can curdle like cream left too long on the heat, its texture ruined by strains you don't see. And I was too busy tweaking my spring menu shrimp with okra, a new take on she crab soup to notice the simmer of secrets, the subtle shift in our dish balance. April brought clearer signs, like a dish overcooked, its edges charred, its flavors turning acrid. Nora began wearing new earrings, silver hoops with amber beads that caught the dim light of our kerosene lamps, not her usual simple studs, plain and practical, chosen for their understated charm. Her stories about her research grew vague, lacking the vivid, almost tactile details she once shared. A diary unearthed from a gullah alder, its pages brittle with age, a hand-drawn map of old rice fields, its lines fading but alive with stories. Instead, her accounts were brief, clipped, like a recipe missing half its steps. She mentioned Caleb, a folklorist collaborating on her project, his name slipping into conversations like an off-note spice, her tone too warm, her smile lingering a fraction too long. He found this incredible oral history, she'd say, her eyes bright, but the details stopped there, leaving gaps I couldn't fill, like a dish served half-plated. I was swamped at the salted fig, perfecting a spring menu to draw in critics, my days a whirlwind of prep lists, vendor negotiations for fresh oysters, and tastings with my sous chef, Maria. My nights spent scrubbing pots under the kitchen's fluorescent hum, the air thick with garlic and butter. I dismissed my unease as stress, my mind tangled in food costs, reservation logs, and the pressure of a potential James Beard nomination, convincing myself it was her book's deadline, not a shift in our recipe. But doubt crept in, a bitter aftertaste I couldn't rinse away, a flavor that lingered like smoke in the back of my throat. May's signs were undeniable, like a dish burned beyond saving. Its surface blackened, its core ruined. Nora's late return stretched past 10, sometimes 11, her sandals oddly clean, despite claims of fieldwork in marshy sites along the coast, where mud should have clung to her sawless, like a second skin. Her phone buzzed constantly, a persistent hum disrupting our quiet dinners, the clink of forks against her blue-glazed plates handmade by a local potter, a wedding gift, a stark contrast to our silence, her eyes fixed on her food or the window, anywhere but me. I'd lie awake in our bed, her breathing steady beside me, the ceiling fans hum drowning out the cicada's song, its blades slicing through the humid air as I wondered who was texting her, who was stirring her passion for stories I no longer heard, who was seasoning her days with a flavor I couldn't match. I started dissecting our life, my chef's mind analyzing our recipe for flaws, searching for the moment it went wrong. Had she always been this distant, or was I just noticing now? My eyes finally opened to the cracks in our dish. I recalled moments of her restlessness last Thanksgiving, when she stood on our porch, staring at the marsh beyond our street, her wine glass untouched, her expression distant as if lost in a story I couldn't read, or February, when she spoke of feeling tethered by her teaching, her voice heavy with a longing I didn't fully grasp. I'd listened, or thought I had, suggesting a weekend in Charleston to explore its archives and dine on Lowcountry fare, but she brushed it off, citing looming deadlines, her book's weight pressing on her. Had I missed her needs? To focus on my restaurant, my dream of a Michelin nod, my obsession with perfecting every plate, every sauce, every garnish. June brought a shift, the signs too sharp, like a knife slicing through dough, its blade catching the light. Nora's notebook, once filled with sketches of historical sites, lighthouses, plantation ruins, gullah basket patterns, lay untouched on her desk, its pages blank, its leather cover gathering a fine layer of dust. Her satchel, slung over a dining chair, held no research notes or archive photocopies, just a cedarwood-scented scarf, a festival flyer with Caleb's name circled in her looping handwriting, and a single dried lavender sprig, its scent faint but jarring, a note that didn't belong in our recipe. I'd walk Rosie alone through Forsyth Park, the fountain's mist blending with the humid air, its gentle gurgle a faint counterpoint to my churning thoughts. Rosie's paws splashed through puddles, her tail wagging despite the weight I carried, and I envied her oblivious joy, her ability to chase squirrels, while my world felt like a dish left too long on the flame. Savannah's oak-lined squares, their Spanish moss swaying like ghosts, were once our refuge, where we'd share iced tea and talk of history and food. Now they felt empty, their beauty a taunt, their shade no longer a comfort, but a reminder of our fading connection. I tried to reconnect, to salvage our dish before it burned beyond repair. One evening, over crab bisque, the kitchen fragrant with thyme and sherry, the table set with her favorite plates. I asked about her book, about Caleb, hoping to stir the flavors we'd lost. "It's progressing," she said, her eyes fixed on her bowl, her spoon hovering, untouched, above the creamy surface. "Just digging through some new archives." Her words lacked the zest of our old talks. When she'd describe a letter from a freedwoman, a recipe for Benny wafers with a passion that rivaled my own for a perfect roux, I pressed gently, asking about her sources or Caleb's role, but she deflected, mentioning a vague oral history project, her tone flat, like a dish served without seasoning. Tension thickened like a sauce left too long on the stove, heavy and unyielding. And I couldn't ask more, fear a bitter spice coating my tongue, burning my throat. What if I was wrong? My suspicions just the stress of a busy season. What if I was right, and the truth scorched our recipe beyond saving? July's dread deepened, a slow burn spreading through our life. On a rare day off, I offered to bring lunch to her university office shrimp rolls, a recipe tweaked for her, but she didn't reply, her phone showing the message as read. The silence louder than the city's hum. Driven by a gut feeling, sharper than a paring knife, I drove to her office, finding it dark, her desk empty, her usual stack of books undisturbed. My stomach sank, a pit forming as heavy as overcooked grits. Later, passing Broughton Street, I saw her car parked outside a cafe, the Honey Pot, its windows glowing with warm light, just spilling into the humid night. Not her office, not a field site. I didn't go in, but sat in my truck, my hands gripping the wheel, my heart pounding like a pestle grinding spices, the city's pulse a distant roar through my fogged windows. Maybe it was a colleague, a research source, a harmless meeting, but suspicion grew, a burn spreading through our recipe, its flames licking at every memory. I started noticing details I'd ignored, the way she'd hum unfamiliar jazz tunes, not our usual Beagle or Ella, the new notebook she kept closed, its pages hidden when I entered the room, the way her laughter, once a melody that filled our home, now felt reserved for moments I wasn't part of, moments I couldn't taste. One night, when she was in the shower, the waters unmasking my guilt, I checked her phone, hating myself for crossing that line, for violating the trust it held as sacred as a family recipe. The texts were a gut punch, each one a scorch mark on our dish. "Miss you already. Meet me at the usual spot tomorrow." No name, but I knew it was Caleb, the folklorist whose name lingered in her stories like an unwanted spice. Each message was a wound, blackening the edges of our life, and I stood there, phone in hand, my pulse racing like a kitchen timer ticking down to disaster. I returned the phone to her purse, my hands trembling, my heart searing, and forced a smile when she emerged, her curls damp, her towel wrapped tightly, her eyes avoiding mine as if she sensed the shift in our air. The recipe turning bitter, I wanted to confront her, to demand the truth, but fear held me back, a cold grip like ice on a hot pan, cracking the surface. I'm a chef, a man who creates harmony in flavors, not one who burns everything down. August brought the truth, raw and unpalatable, a dish ruined beyond redemption. I was home early, testing a new peach cobbler recipe for the restaurant's dessert menu, the kitchen warm with the scent of butter and cinnamon, Rosie snoring at my feet, her warmth a small comfort against the storm brewing inside me. Nora had said she was at her office, working on a final chapter for her book, but her notebook was untouched, its pages blank, her satchel empty of the usual archive photocopies or scribbled notes. On impulse, driven by a dread too heavy to carry, I checked her laptop, left open on the kitchen counter, her emails still logged in from the night before. A thread with Caleb unfolded like a recipe for disaster. Each message a step toward ruin. They'd been meeting for months coffees at the Honey Pot, walks through Wurnslow historic sites O'Callaghan's, late night talks at her office moments that started as shared research but simmered into something deeper, more intimate. Her words cut like a chef's knife, sharp and precise. "You make me feel alive, not just a scholar buried in books." They'd met at a February archive event he'd skipped, too busy with a restaurant health inspection to join her. my mind on grease traps and safety codes. What began as discussions of Gullah folklore and oral histories turned into picnics by the Savannah River. A story had shared of a Gullah song that moved her to tears, her May confession of falling for him, of feeling seen in ways I hadn't made her feel. The details were a slow burn, a rainy afternoon in March, sharing a thermos of coffee by the river, a playlist had made, filled with jazz she said spoke to her soul, a moment in June, when they kissed under a live oak at Wormslow, the Spanish moor shielding them from the world. I read until my vision blurred, my chest aching like a pan left too long on the flame. Our life, our Bonaventure picnic, our courtyard wedding, Rosie's adoption feeling like a dish scorched beyond recognition, its flavors lost ash. When Nora came home, I was still at the table, the laptop open, its screen a harsh glow in the dim kitchen, the rain pounding outside like a drumbeat to our ruin, the scent of my half-finished cobbler, now cloying, sickening. I showed her the emails, my voice steady, but my heart cracking like a brittle crust. "What is this, Nora?" I asked, holding up the laptop, each word a weight I could barely carry, my hands trembling as if he'd burned them on a hot skillet. Her satchel fell to the floor, her face draining of color, her hazel eyes wide with a mix of guilt and fear. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Michael," she whispered, sinking into a chair, tears welling as she clutched the table's edge, her knuckles white. "It just happened." She sat there, Rosie nestled between us, oblivious to the storm tearing through our home, her tail thumping softly against the heart pine floor, her warmth a cruel contrast to the cold spreading through me. Nora's voice cracked as she explained, her words halting. Like a recipe she couldn't perfect, Caleb was more than a colleague. They'd shared coffees, walks, moments she couldn't fully articulate, moments that felt like freedom, like a release from the confines of our routine, from the role of wife and professor that had begun to feel like a cage. She said she loved me, her tears falling onto the table, catching the light like spilled wine, but she felt trapped, like our life was a dish too small for her dreams of a groundbreaking book, a career that would echo beyond Savannah squares, a legacy that would outlast her. "I didn't know how to tell you," she said, her hands twisting in her lap, her eyes pleading for an understanding I couldn't summon. "Not yet. I never wanted to hurt you, Michael." But she had, and the hurt was a living thing, a burn searing through our recipe, blackening every memory we'd shared. I asked questions I didn't want answers to. When, where, why, each one a wound I couldn't stop picking, a cut that bled fresh pain. She answered in fragments, her voice breaking, a kiss in June under an oak at Wormslow, the moors hiding their shadows, confessions over iced tea at the honey pot, the calves just drowning out her guilt, late walks by the Savannah River, talking about dreams she hadn't shared with me, dreams of lecture tour, of a book that would change how history was told. She swore it was one kiss, a moment of weakness, but the emotional betrayal burned deeper, a dish scorched beyond saving, its flavors turned to ash, its essence lost. We sat in the kitchen, the silence heavy, Rosie between us, her warmth a faint anchor in the storm. The radio played Ella Fitzgerald, its smooth notes mocking the jagged edges of our ruin, the rain outside a relentless tattoo on the windows, mirroring the chaos inside me. The TV droned in the living room, a documentary about Savannah's marshes, its images of green reeds and herons a cruel contrast to the wreckage of our dish. I wanted to hate her, to scream, to throw the laptop across the room and watch it shatter like a drop plate, but all I felt was emptiness, a blank recipe card where our life had been. I thought of our story, our first date in Bonaventure, sharing cornbread under the oaks, our wedding in the courtyard, her lace dress glowing in the dusk, the night we brought Rosie home, her tiny paws digging up my herb garden, our laughter filling the humid air. Had it all been a lie, a dish that looked perfect but lacked substance? Had I been too focused on the salted fig, on perfecting every plate, every sauce, to see her drifting, her flavors blending with someone else's? I wanted to ask why she didn't talk to me, why she chose Caleb over us, over the life we'd cooked together, but the words wouldn't come, stuck in my throat like a lump of dough, heavy and unyielding. Instead, I sat there, The rain pounding, the air thick with the weight of our unraveling, the scent of my failed cobbler, a reminder of everything gone wrong. We tried to salvage our recipe, to mend the burned edges, to find a way to balance the flavors again. Therapy once a week with Dr. Ellis, a therapist with a calm voice, and eyes that saw through our defenses, felt like trying to revive a dish gone cold, searching for the ingredients worth saving. She urged us to be honest, to lay bare our pain, to find the cracks in our recipe. Nora admitted she felt unseen, her identity as a historian buried under the routine of teaching and our quiet evenings, her dreams of a book that would redefine Gullah history stifled by the sameness of our life. Caleb saw her as a scholar, a creator, not just a wife, offering a spark she felt we'd lost in our daily grind of coffee, walks, and shared meals. Her words were a knife, slicing through the illusions I'd held, revealing gaps I'd ignored in our dish. I confessed my distraction, to consumed by the salted fig, by menu revisions and critic visits, to notice her restlessness, her talk of a book tour, of needing more. It offered a trip to New Orleans, a chance to explore its Creole kitchens and archives, but Shed brushed it off, saying she needed to focus on her research. Had I been too blind, to caught in my quest for culinary perfection, to see her fading, her flavors leaching under my neglect? We tried date nights, returning to the salted fig to share plates of oysters and cornbread, the restaurant's warm lights and clinking glasses a faint echo of our early days. But the air was heavy, her betrayal a bitter aftertaste I couldn't rinse away. We made promises to communicate, to rebuild trust, to be honest about our needs, but every time I looked at her, I saw Caleb's name, her words about feeling alive, about being more than a role. The trust we'd built was a burned ingredient, its char too deep to scrape away, our dish too far gone to salvage. Therapy was a battlefield, each session a clash of emotions we weren't ready to navigate, like chefs trying to save a sauce that had split beyond repair. Nora cried often, her guilt a heavy shadow, her face crumpling as she spoke of the pain she had caused, the choices she regretted, but couldn't undo. "I love you, Michael," she'd say, her voice breaking, her hands twisting the scarf she wore, its cedarwood scent a reminder of her betrayal. I just got lost. I wanted to comfort her, to be the husband who'd held her after a rejected grant proposal, who'd made her laugh with my terrible puns about Rue, but I couldn't. My anger was quiet, but constant, a slow burn spreading through our recipe, its heat charring every memory. I'd catch myself staring at her, searching for the woman I'd married, the one who'd teased me about my fritters at the festival, who'd sketched Savannah squares in her notebook, who danced with me in our kitchen to Nina Simone. Our worlds blending like a perfect sauce. Was she still there, or had Caleb taken her, claimed the part of her I thought was mine? Dr. Ellis said I hadn't failed, that Nora made a choice to step outside our vows, but self-blame was a stubborn stain, its edges resistant to every attempt to scrub it clean. I dissected our marriage, searching for the moment it went wrong. Was it the long hours I spent at the restaurant, tweaking recipes until dawn? Was it the way he'd stopped planning spontaneous adventures, like our Tybee beach trips? Or was it her, needing a flavor I couldn't provide, a dish bolder than our life's menu? By October, we separated, our recipe to scorch to salvage, its ingredients irreparable. I moved to a loft above the salted fig, its exposed brick walls and industrial hum a stark contrast to our home's warmth, the city's pulse filtering through thin windows overlooking Bald Street. The silence was deafening without Rosie's barks, Nora's humming, or the clatter of our kitchen, where we'd once danced while a gumbo simmered. Cooking for one gumbo with leftover shrimp, grits with a pat of butter felt sterile without her books cluttering the counter, her half-finished mugs of tea, or Rosie's toys underfoot, relics of our life, a recipe card for her favorite shrimp tuff, her note tucked in my journal saying you're my best dish cut fresh wounds, each one a reminder of our unraveling. I threw myself into the restaurant, perfecting dishes with a precision I couldn't apply to my heart, plating crab cakes and cornbread for diners whose smiles felt like pity. I started running along the Savannah River, the water's grey flow a faint distraction from my thoughts, the humid air soaking my shirt as I pounded the path, trying to outrun the pain. Savannah's oak-lined squares, their Spanish moss swaying in the breeze, its historic charm and humid evenings felt like ghosts of our story, their beauty a mockery of my isolation. Friends became my lifeline, their kindness a pinch of salt in a bland dish, bringing flavor to my days. Maria, my sous chef, invited me to bar nights at the Grey, where we'd sip bourbon and laugh over kitchen mishaps, her sharp wit pulling me out of my head. "You're still a damn good chef," she'd say, siding me a drink, her eyes steady with friendship. My sister, Claire, called from Atlanta, her voice warm, urging me to visit 4 hikes in the North Georgia mountains, promising home-cooked meals and a chance to reset. I couldn't face the pity in her tone, the way she'd look at me like a dish that had fallen flat. My running group, a mix of locals I met through Maria, jogged along the riverfront, their chatter about food and life a bomb, their laughter a spark in my darkness. "Keep cooking, Michael," said Jamal, a bartender in the group, tossing me a water bottle after a run, his grin kind but firm. Their support was a new ingredient, small gestures tethering me to the world, but their sympathy stung, a reminder of the recipe I'd lost. In December, I saw Nora at a historical society talk in Forsyth Park, her voice vibrant as she spoke of Gullah traditions, her curls loose, her smile free, as if the weight of our marriage had lifted, as if she'd found a new dish to savor. She stood under the park's fountain, its mist catching the winter light, her hands animated as she described a basket-weaving technique, her passion drawing a crowd. For a moment, I wanted to walk over, to ask if she was happy, if Caleb was worth it, if she ever thought of our Bonaventure picnics, our courtyard vows, our dreams of a Tybee cottage. I didn't. I turned away, the hurt to raw, the park's colours red poinsettias, green oaks, grey mist blurring into a haze, the distant sound of a street musician's saxophone fading as I walked to my truck, my chest tight with grief. I drove back to the loft, the rain smearing my windshield, Savannah's church steeples and squares looming like chapters I couldn't revisit. Rebuilding is slow, like perfecting a new recipe, each ingredient added with care, each attempt to step towards something edible. Running along the Savannah River, each mile a small victory, grounds me, the water's steady flow and the city's humid skyline anchoring me to the present. The salted fig keeps me sane, chopping vegetables, simmering sauces, hosting tastings under the restaurant's warm lights. The clatter of plates a rhythm I can still follow. I've started a supper club, sharing new dishes with regulars, their feedback a spark in my darkness. I joined a cooking class for fun, led by a local chef named Lena, her humor and love of bold flavors making me laugh, a sound I hadn't heard in months. We talked about Savannah's food history, its Gullah roots, and for an hour, I felt like Michael again, not a broken chef, not the husband whose recipe fell apart. It wasn't love, but it was a new ingredient, a hint I could cook again. Solo therapy with Dr. Ellis is like refining a dish, tweaking each element to find balance. Why did I feel responsible for Nora's choices? Who am I without her? It defined myself through our marriage, our shared flavors, Bonaventure picnics, courtyard dances, Rosie's chaos a recipe for my identity. Her betrayal wasn't just a loss of love, it was a loss of self, a dish burned beyond recognition. I'm learning to forgive, not for her, but for me, to clear space for new flavors, new recipes. I'm starting to like the person I'm becoming, the dishes I'm creating, the life I'm stirring. It's messy, like a first attempt at a new sauce, but I'm getting there, one ingredient, one step at a time. Healing isn't linear, a lesson I'm learning with every run, every dish, every conversation. Some days, a relic a photo of us in Bonaventure, Rosie grinning, Nora's lace dress catching the light brings pain as fresh as the day I read her emails. I'd run past her university office, hating myself for caring, or see a couple in a cafe, their laughter a stab of envy for the ease we'd lost. Other days, I laugh with Maria over a kitchen joke, lose myself in a new menu's creation, or run with my group, debating gullah recipes, feeling whole. I run along the river, the air humid, the water reflecting Savannah's bridges, and feel hope, a belief I can cook a new life, a dish that's mine, not ours. I don't hate Nora, though the thought creeps in during dark hours, when my loft silence feels like an empty kitchen. Its counters bare. I hate her choice to burn our recipe, to find in Caleb what she couldn't in me, in us. I hate that I didn't see it, believing our dish was perfect, its flavors unassailable. But I'm letting go, forgiving for my sake, freeing myself to stir new ingredients, to plate a new story. I'm learning to live with the scars, not as burns, but as proof I survived, a recipe still simmering, a dish taking shape. Thank you for listening to my story to the end, a raw and real tale of love, betrayal, and the slow, messy work of rebuilding. It's a journey through pain and hope, a recipe of human struggle that I'm honored to share. If this story moved you, stirred your heart, or echoed your own experiences, please subscribe to the End Stories channel. There, you'll find a feast of stories, tales of love, loss, betrayal, and redemption. Each one a reminder that we're all cooking our own narratives, ingredients by ingredient, in the kitchens of our hearts.